Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality, an old story regarding an alleged encounter between human beings and alien creatures is back in the news again, and because it was on a popular podcast that was mentioned, in regards to this incident that happened back in 1989 or 1990 involving 23 Russian soldiers in Siberia who were zapped by 5 aliens basically and transformed into limestone. There was a CIA document that was declassified back in 2000 with regards to this. And so this is a story that I know I've talked about this story before, but it's back in the news again. And I think that's actually a good thing. I like actually when these old stories get repurposed and you know, they're brought forward again to remind people of just how many freaking crazy stories there are out there floating around regarding this phenomenon. And this story here is really, really crazy. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it might be. And you know, some of the aspects related regarding this case, I mean, that might seem incredibly fantastic, but when you really think about it, maybe it's not that fantastic after all. But anyway, let's get into it. There's an article here. We'll read the one here from the dailymail.com. And it says here, chilling declassified CIA file reveals aliens committed revenge massacre after UFO was shot down. So apparently this is what occurred. Basically, the Russians saw this flying saucer and during in Siberia during a training mission with military personnel, and they shot at this thing, and then the thing crashed. Next thing you know, these creatures exited the craft. They all somehow morphed into one entity of some kind and then blasted the soldiers there. And apparently, according to the story, only 2 of them survived. The rest of them were turned into stone. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like something out of the Holy Bible. In fact, it sounds like Sodom and Gomorrah. Wasn't it Lot's wife turned around and turned into a pillar of salt, which she was told by the 3 angels. Lot and the rest of them were told, hey, don't, whatever you do, get out of Sodom and Gomorrah and don't look back. Unfortunately, Lot's wife looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. Is that something similar here, maybe, perhaps? Anyway, the article says, a bone-chilling document declassified by the CIA has exposed an alleged massacre by aliens from a crashed UFO who turned an entire military unit into stone. According to the report, Soviet troops shot down a flying saucer hovering over the Soviet military unit in Siberia roughly 35 years ago, and what happened next was truly terrifying. In the document, summarizing a 250-page top-secret file acquired by U.S. intelligence agents, eyewitnesses said 5 aliens climbed out of their wrecked craft, combined themselves into one creature, exploded in a burst of intense energy, and turned 23 soldiers into solid rock. One CIA official referred to the shocking battle as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. Now, let's just stop there for a second. Now, if they're capable of doing some of the other things that we're certain that they're up to, right? In fact, like the mutilation of cattle, for instance, the somehow showing up undetected, draining blood from creatures, from animals on a ranch, removing body parts surgically. If they're able to do something like that, maybe something like this isn't really that far-fetched. Anyway, let's continue reading. It says the agency added that the extremely menacing case proved the aliens who visited Earth possessed weapons and technology far beyond the United States government's assumptions, suggesting they were already aware of the aliens' existence. I find that interesting, yes. In the document, which we'll get into here a little bit, the CIA document, it does seem like they knew of some of the capabilities of these creatures, but this one caught them off guard. If it was true, this is something that they weren't, they didn't know about. The unearthed document, declassified in 2000, was recently the topic of the AI or Evil podcast, where host Josh Hooper revealed that 2 of the soldiers at the UFO crash site actually survived the encounter. However, the 23 petrified soldiers could not be saved. Their remains and the debris from the spacecraft were reportedly moved to a secret research base near Moscow. An even more concerning detail of the CIA file is the description of the aliens reportedly involved in this massacre, who have been mentioned in UFO reports and sightings for nearly 80 years. And here they have the report on here. Let's just click on it and check it out. Yeah, it says here, and this is Actually, some of this was actually reported in newspaper in Ukraine back in the 90s, apparently. And this is some of it's reprinted. Some of the information was just simply reprinted by the CIA. It says here, after Mikhail Gorbachev dissolved in 1991, the KGB Top Secret Intelligence Administration, a lot of material from that department found their way around, in particular to the CIA. As reported by the authoritative magazine Canadian Weekly World News, U.S. intelligence obtained a 250-page file on the attack by a UFO on a military unit in Siberia. The file contains not only many documentary photographs and drawings, but also testimonies by actual participants in the events. One of the CIA representatives referred to this case as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze. According to the KGB materials, a quite low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above a military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers. For unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO. It fell to Earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated in the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that, after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply and then became brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. The KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone. A CIA representative stated, "If the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked." So there you go. I will leave the link for the full article so you can check that out for yourself. So imagine that. Okay, now you're looking at a UFO. You're on some military training mission, and somebody there decides, "Hey, you see that UFO up there? I'm going to shoot a missile at it and see what happens." A missile gets shot at it. It brings the thing down, but the creatures inside of this craft are still alive. They come out and somehow they merge into some sort of a spherical ball. I wonder if that explains the orbs. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they're, I've heard this, some people bring this up sometimes, this possibility. In fact, I was talking to Scott Roeder about this, the crime scene reconstruction expert. He thinks one of the possibilities is that the craft that people see sometimes are actually a bunch of creatures just all together, like melded together somehow. That's a possibility. Maybe that's how they get around. Maybe that's what happened in Vegas. Maybe that greenish, bluish thing that came crashing down into the Kenmore family's backyard, well, maybe it wasn't a craft, and maybe the reason it went invisible was because when the thing hit and they heard thousands of footsteps running off in all different directions, maybe that's what happened. Maybe that craft that came floating down, or made that hard landing in the backyard, it hit, but there was not the reason it went. It apparently, seemingly appeared that the craft became invisible. It wasn't that the craft itself was invisible. It's just that it became apart because it was comprised completely of alien creatures, and that's and they all took off in different directions when it hit the ground. Maybe that's what happened. As crazy as it sounds. But, something like this. Now, of course, I don't know if there's anything out there that could turn a person into stone, like you read in the fantasy stories or mythological stories, like, or mythological characters, like Medusa, that could, if you look at her face, you turn into stone. I mean, of course, she was featured in a lot of different movies and stories over the years, like Clash of the Titans, for instance, the famous movie from the '80s with the last one that Ray Harryhausen, the famous special effects artist, had his hands in. There was a great scene in that involving Medusa, and she turned people into stone. And you wonder, is it possible? It sounds insane. It sounds fantastic, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. I mean, just think about where humans were like 50 years ago compared to where we are now. I mean, some of the stuff we're talking about with regards to these aliens, like cloaking technologies, things like that, it doesn't seem so fantastic now because we're working on things like that. I mean, things like the alien hybridization program, when that was, when people start first talking about that, researchers like in the 80s and 90s and 2000s are talking about this potential possible hybridization program. When you first hear about that, people think even scientists are saying, that's insane. How could they ever do something like that? That's impossible. Look at what we're doing right now. I mean, some of the things that we're up to right now. We have scientists at this very moment who are trying to bring back woolly mammoths using their DNA. They're working on that right now, trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. And it's not just woolly mammoths either. I mean, there's other creatures they're trying to bring back, like, for instance, the dodo bird. Now, regarding the woolly mammoth has been extinct for, 4,000 years, right? And they think it's possible. They're working on it right now. There's a company right now trying to bring back a woolly mammoth, trying to create it using DNA samples that have been recovered from one of them. And then the same thing is ongoing too with the dodo bird. The dodo bird's been extinct since the 1600s, but scientists are trying to resurrect it right now in the laboratory. So things that we thought were impossible years ago, now they seem more feasible. Like we're moving toward that. And now, right now, dinosaurs, for instance, there's a lot of they can't. We're not going to see any Jurassic Park anytime soon because the DNA from dinosaurs, because it was so long ago, it's degraded to a point that we're incapable of doing something like that. But doesn't rule out the possibility maybe at some point in the future, maybe there are things we don't understand yet that we'll figure out later on, and then we actually will create some sort of a Jurassic Park. I mean, there's just so many things when you look at it that in the past seemed like far-fetched, and now, and right where we are now, it's like, see? I mean, look at Star Trek, the TV series Star Trek. I mean, they're using those little communicators. I mean, now that seems like easy to do. Back then, it seems like science fiction. Now, I mean, we're way beyond that. I mean, we have cell phones that seem to have more abilities than those handheld communication devices that Captain Kirk was using, right? I mean, so we just keep advancing. So the idea of potentially transforming people into, or any living organism into rock might seem crazy, but I don't think it is crazy. At some point, maybe we'll be able to do that. Maybe we're figuring out technology like that right now to use against our enemies. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know why would somebody want to do that in the first place, but apparently these creatures got mad when they got blasted out of the sky. And this is what the soldiers got in return for that infraction. I don't know. That's all I could. I just think that anything is possible when it comes to these creatures. We've seen some of their abilities on display in the video that I've been talking about on this channel for a long time now. They do have most certainly technology that exceeds anything that we have, and there's things I'm sure that they possess that we couldn't even dream of. Like if you were to see it in action, you wouldn't believe what you were seeing, and then it would take time for you to understand that, oh my God, I just see what they were able to do. So I just want to say this. The bottom line is that anything is possible when it comes to these creatures. I mean, if they're a million years more advanced than us, then some of the things that they're able to do would most certainly seem like magic to us. And it does, actually. I guess the Russians that day, they learned a invaluable lesson. You maybe don't screw around with these things. I mean, because they'll kill you. They'll kill you. These creatures, I mean, if you're going to try to kill them, well, guess what? That it's really stupid, actually, when you really think about it. If you come up against something that's 1,000 years more advanced than you are technologically, right? Why in God's name would you try to shoot it down? But apparently that's what's been happening. That has happened. I don't know if it's still happening. Probably, for all we know, it probably still is. Why would you try to do those kinds of things when you know that they're way more advanced than you are? Because you're taking a big chance. You don't know what the reaction is going to be, and you see if this story is true. We can't prove this one. We just gotta go by this document, and different people talking about it over the years. I mean, again, I guess the bottom line is this: there's a lesson to be learned here. I don't think you're supposed to try to go against these creatures in this kind of way. I don't think you're supposed to try to attack them violently, because if you do, you're asking for trouble, and they might take you out real quick. I mean, you think about some of the stories over the years, like, for instance, the Vegas case. Those three people went into the backyard armed. What would have happened if they would have started shooting their guns? Would they have been turned into stone, maybe? Or who knows, maybe something worse. We just don't know. Anyway, moving on, I want to get caught up on some of the recent Spotify polls. And let's pull them up here. I guess I'm going to go all the way back to, for the episode, the very first flying saucer newspaper report. And also, was the Falkville Metal Man real or a hoax? There's 32 votes so far on this one, with 19 days left. And the question is, did the 1973 Falkville, Alabama Metal Man incident involve a real alien robot, or was it a hoax? Okay, 32 votes. 12 people, or 37.5%, say it was real, while 20 people, or 62.5%, say it was a hoax. Like I indicated during that episode, I'm leaning toward a hoax. But you still don't know. I mean, you can't say one way or the other. You just can't say authoritatively what really happened there. I mean, the person involved, the deputy sheriff who encountered this metal man and took the pictures, he still, all these years later, maintains that what he saw was not of this earth. But they have other people, hoaxers out there, tricksters, who said that there was a guy, wearing a costume. That's all it was. So I don't know, but I lean toward it being a hoax. I think that unfortunate officer was tricked. But hey, it doesn't make me right. Okay, for the next one, for the episode 10 most critical questions regarding the alien presence on Earth, I asked this question: are you convinced that there's a non-human presence on Earth? 43 votes so far. It's a simple question. 3 people, or 7%, say no, while 5 people, or 11.6%, are on the fence, and the majority, 35 people, or 81.4%, say yes. Of course, I'm convinced. When you see one of these things with your own eyes, you have no choice but to be convinced. Either that, or you're going to just be stupid and you're going to lie to yourself. I mean, really stupid, and you're just going to lie to yourself. But yeah, I've been convinced for a long time now, and now we have the absolute proof to back all of this stuff up, all of these claims up, and so yeah, there's no question. Okay, for the episode, absolute proof of alien presence on Earth was revealed 1 year ago today. And I asked this question: which of the following Las Vegas aliens was the most convincing to you? There's 28 votes so far, with 24 days left. And I only have 3 of them listed here. Now, there was multiple creatures that you could see in that video. I only listed probably the 3 most popular ones, the three ones that really stood out to me. And only 1 vote, or 3.6%, for the Allagash 4 lookalike. 8 votes, or 28.6%, for UB, the undeniable backbreaker. And a majority, 19 votes, or 67.9%, for the tall one at the fence. Well, of course, the tall one at the fence is the one that convinced, after Scott Roeder did his analysis, I was totally convinced at that point. I mean, I remember when it was first pointed out to me, the creature by the fence, and I first saw that face, I was like, oh my God, that's an alien. That's what they're talking about. I mean, and then when Roeder looked at it and did his analysis, then I was pretty much 100% convinced of it. The UB, the undeniable backbreaker, which I think is just as interesting, if not more so, than the tall one at the fence. To me, right, that one there, that came later on. We didn't find that one till later on, until we already knew. That was just gravy later. That's all that was. But I do think that the undeniable backbreaker, I mean, when you put all of these together, right, and then along with the other stuff that's going on in that video, it just becomes impossible to debunk it. Okay, and then for the most recent episode, historical records of aliens, also Vegas Alien Update, I asked this question: Did short gray aliens evolve naturally to their present state of being, or are they biological robots created in a lab? There's 14 votes so far. And let's see here. 6 people, or 42.9%, believe that they evolved naturally, while 8 people, or 57.1%, believe they were created in a lab. Oh boy, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with the majority on this one. I think that they were probably created in a lab. I think that they're just biological robots, actually slaves for something else, I believe, probably for the insect ones. But who knows? I mean, when you really think about this, right? I mean, is it possible that all of these creatures that we're seeing here, that they didn't evolve? That what if they were made by somebody else, by something else? That there's something above everything that all these people encounters that people have had with these creatures over the years. What if all of them were created artificially in laboratories? What if they're all test tube babies for them, or something like that? You know, everything is part of a hybridization program. Everything was put together. All of these creatures are in service to something else. They were created by something else, and they were sent here by something else. What if that's the situation that we're dealing with right now? I mean, what if we don't even know who's behind all this? There's some other entity that's not even here, maybe, that sent them from another planet somewhere. Who knows? What if all of this, right? What if these creatures that are here, right? They're all biological robots or mechanical, like, or who knows, a mixture. Some could be pure biological robots. Some could be pure robot. Or it could be like a cyborg or something like that. I mean, I wonder. I mean, who knows? Like, for all we know, AI could have taken over some other civilization, you know, millions of years in the past somewhere, right? And everything that's happening to us right now with relation to these visitors, right, is the entire concept of an AI generated mission. That this has nothing to do with any kind of biological living entity, that everything that we're seeing here was created in laboratories by some artificial intelligence that, you know, took over some planet that used to be contain a civilized world similar to what we have here, but now they're gone, and the AI is all that's left, and here we're dealing with the aftermath of that. And these creatures are just out and about and sending out their biological robots, their robots or whatever, to do these things to us, to take us over for somehow. Maybe that's what's going on here. There's just so much. The rabbit hole is really deep when it comes to this topic, folks. It just keeps getting deeper all the time. The more you know, it seems like the deeper the rabbit hole gets. We know now that there's something here, right? No doubt about it. Everyone should know this. Everyone in this whole world should know that we are not alone. And we don't know what to expect from them. We don't know really what they're up to. And we don't know where this is heading, if it's heading anywhere, unless they're here just to check us out, and they're just doing some scientific research, and they're going to pack up one day and take off. But I don't think that's the case, folks. I just don't think it is. They have some sort of goal down the line here that they intend to reach, and I think that they're going to get there at some point, and we're not going to do anything to stop them, because we're not going to be capable of it. We're not advanced enough. We're not nowhere near what they are. But again, we don't know who's behind, who's pulling the strings. There could be more to this than we could possibly imagine. A lot more. Anyway, I just want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.